Hello everyone and welcome to our channel. Today we are going to embark on a fascinating and thrilling journey through the history of the 12 apostles of Christ. These extraordinary men were chosen by Jesus to spread his message of love, faith, and hope to the world. However, their mission was not easy and was often marked by extreme challenges, persecutions, and, in many cases, martyrdom. In this video, we will explore the life and death of each of the 12 apostles. We will discover how Peter, the fisherman who became the rock of the church, met his final destiny in Rome. We will hear the story of Andrew, who took Christ's message to the distant lands of Greece. We will learn about the tragedy of James, the son of Zebedee, who was the first apostle to be martyred. And we will learn about John, the beloved apostle, who lived to an old age and wrote the book of Revelation while exiled on the island of Patmos. Each of these men left a lasting legacy that shaped Christianity as we know it today. Their stories are of courage, sacrifice, and unwavering faith, serving as an inspiration to millions of people around the world. So, get ready for a journey back in time, where we will dive into history and uncover the final moments of Christ's 12 apostles. I hope this video not only informs but also inspires you to reflect on the depth of your faith and the power of dedication. Let's begin. Let's start with one of the most dramatic and impactful moments in the history of Christianity: the death of the Apostle Peter. Peter, originally called Simon, was one of Jesus' first disciples and is often remembered as the rock upon which the church would be built. After Jesus' resurrection, Peter became a central leader in the early Christian community, preaching the gospel and performing miracles. His unwavering faith and dedication to Christ's cause led him to face many challenges and persecutions. Around 64 AD, during the reign of Emperor Nero, a great persecution of Christians began in Rome. Nero, seeking a scapegoat for the great fire that destroyed part of the city, blamed the Christians, and many were captured, tortured, and executed. Peter was one of those arrested during this wave of persecution. According to Christian tradition, he was condemned to crucifixion, the same form of execution that Jesus suffered. However, Peter, feeling unworthy to die in the same manner as his master, requested to be crucified upside down. And so it was done. Peter was crucified upside down, a powerful image of humility and devotion until his last moments. He accepted suffering and death with courage, faithful to his mission and his Lord until the end. Peter's death was not in vain. His faith and sacrifice continue to inspire millions of Christians around the world. He is remembered not only as a great apostle and leader, but also as an example of unwavering dedication and love for Christ. Peter, the rock upon which the church was built, lives on in the memory and faith of all Christians. His life and death are eternal testimonies to the power of faith and the strength of the human spirit. Now let's talk about one of Jesus' most prominent apostles, Andrew. Known for being Peter's brother and one of Jesus' first disciples, Andrew played a crucial role in spreading the gospel. After Jesus' resurrection, Andrew dedicated his life to spreading the Christian message. He traveled to various regions, including Greece, Asia Minor, and the area around the Black Sea, always preaching fervently and converting many to the Christian faith. According to Christian tradition, it was in the city of Patmos in Greece that Andrew met his final destiny. His tireless preaching attracted the attention of local authorities, who did not look kindly on the spread of Christianity. Andrew was arrested and condemned to death by crucifixion. However, in a gesture of humility and respect for Jesus, Andrew asked to be crucified on an X-shaped cross, different from his master's cross. This cross, known today as the St. Andrew's Cross, has become a lasting symbol of his sacrifice and faith. Andrew was tied to the cross instead of nailed, to prolong his suffering. He spent 2 whole days preaching to spectators while suspended on the cross, using his last moments to continue spreading Jesus' message of love and salvation. Andrew's death was not in vain. His courage and devotion became an example for Christians around the world. He is remembered and venerated as a saint and martyr, and his X-shaped cross is a powerful symbol of faith and sacrifice. Andrew, the fisherman who became an apostle, lives on in the memory and faith of all Christians. His life and death are eternal testimonies to the power of faith and the strength of the human spirit. Let's explore the life and death of James, son of Zebedee, also known as James the Greater. He was one of Jesus' closest apostles, brother of John, and one of the first to be called to follow the Master. James, along with his brother John, left his life as a fisherman to become a devoted follower of Jesus. They witnessed many miracles and significant events, including the Transfiguration and the agony in the Garden of Gethsemane. James was known for his fervent temperament and unwavering devotion. After Jesus' resurrection, James continued to spread the gospel message with great fervor. His powerful preaching and commitment to faith attracted many followers, but also drew the attention of the authorities. According to the Book of Acts of the Apostles in chapter 12, James was arrested by order of King Herod Agrippa I. This Herod was the grandson of Herod the Great, and he sought to please the Jewish leaders who opposed the growth of Christianity. Herod Agrippa ordered that James be executed by the sword. James, the son of Zebedee, thus became the first apostle to suffer martyrdom around 44 AD. His death was a heavy blow to the early Christian community, but also served as a powerful testimony of faith and courage. According to tradition, as James was being led to execution, his accuser, moved by the apostles' witness of faith, also converted to Christianity and asked to be executed alongside James. This account highlights the profound impact that James' faith had even in his final moments. The memory of James, son of Zebedee, continues to inspire Christians around the world. He is venerated as a saint and martyr, with many churches and sacred sites dedicated in his honor. His example of unwavering faith and sacrifice continues to resonate through the centuries. James, the first martyr apostle, reminds us of the cost of faith and the strength we can find in our beliefs. His life and death are a powerful testament to the enduring impact of Jesus' message. Now let's explore the life and death of the Apostle John, also known as John the Beloved. He was one of Jesus' closest disciples and played a crucial role in the spread of early Christianity. John, son of Zebedee and brother of James, was one of the first disciples to be called by Jesus. He was present at many significant moments in Jesus' ministry, including the Transfiguration and the Last Supper. Known for his passionate temperament, John was transformed by Christ's love, becoming one of the most beloved and influential apostles. After Jesus' ascension, John continued to preach and write. He is traditionally credited as the author of the Gospel of John, 3 epistles, and the Book of Revelation. His central message was always love and truth, reflecting the depth of his relationship with Jesus. According to Christian tradition, John faced various persecutions because of his faith. During the reign of Emperor Domitian, he was exiled to the island of Patmos. It was there that he received the visions that make up the Book of Revelation, a work full of symbolism and hope for persecuted Christians. John is the only one of the 12 apostles believed to have died of natural causes. After Domitian's death, he was released from exile and returned to Ephesus, where he continued to minister and teach until his death. It is estimated that he lived to an old age, possibly reaching 100 years. John's death was peaceful, surrounded by his followers and the Christian community he loved so much. His life dedicated to the service of Christ left a lasting legacy, and he is venerated as a saint and martyr in many Christian traditions. John, the beloved apostle, reminds us of the importance of love and truth in our faith. His life and writings continue to inspire millions of Christians around the world, offering hope and guidance in times of persecution and doubt. Now let's talk about the Apostle Philip, one of the 12 disciples of Jesus and an important figure in the spread of early Christianity. Philip is remembered for his unwavering dedication and missionary fervor. Philip was called by Jesus at the beginning of his ministry and quickly became a faithful follower. He is mentioned several times in the Gospels, standing out in events such as the feeding of the 5,000 and during the Last Supper. His curiosity and desire to deeply understand Jesus' message are notable characteristics of his personality. After Jesus' resurrection, Philip dedicated his life to preaching the gospel. According to tradition, he traveled extensively to spread Christ's message. Philip is known to have preached in Greece, Syria, and Phrygia, performing many miracles and converting countless people to Christianity. It was in Hierapolis, a city in the region of Phrygia, that Philip met his final destiny. His powerful preaching and ability to perform miracles drew the ire of local authorities and religious leaders who opposed the new faith. According to tradition, Philip was arrested and condemned to death by crucifixion. However, he asked to be crucified upside down, similar to Peter's request, to show his humility and reverence for Jesus. Philip was crucified upside down on a tree, a symbol of his sacrifice and devotion. His death was not in vain. Many were converted by the courage and faith he demonstrated until the end. Philip's death is a powerful testimony of faith and sacrifice. He is remembered and venerated as a saint and martyr, with many churches and sacred sites dedicated in his honor. His example of devotion and courage continues to inspire Christians around the world. Philip, the missionary apostle, reminds us of the transformative power of faith and the strength found in sacrifice. His life and death are a lasting legacy of love and dedication to Christ. Bartholomew, also known as Nathanael, was one of Jesus' 12 disciples and is remembered for his unwavering faith and commitment to Christ's mission. Bartholomew was introduced to Jesus by Philip and immediately recognized Jesus as the Son of God. He is mentioned in the Gospels as a man in whom there is no deceit, reflecting his sincerity and purity of heart. After Jesus' ascension, Bartholomew dedicated his life to spreading the gospel. He traveled extensively, preaching in regions such as India, Armenia, Ethiopia, and Arabia. His powerful preaching and ability to perform miracles attracted many to Christianity. According to tradition, it was in Armenia that Bartholomew met his final destiny. His successful preaching deeply troubled the local religious leaders, who saw the growth of Christianity as a threat. Bartholomew was captured by the religious leaders and subjected to one of the most brutal deaths recorded in the history of the apostles. He was flayed alive and then beheaded. This barbaric act was a reflection of the intense hostility early Christians often faced. Despite the terrible torture, Bartholomew maintained his faith and courage until the end. His death became a powerful testimony to his devotion and love for Christ. His courage inspired many to persevere in their faith, even in the face of the most severe persecution. Bartholomew's death is a solemn reminder of the price many of the early apostles paid for their faith. He is venerated as a saint and martyr, and many churches and sacred sites are dedicated in his honor. His example of devotion and sacrifice continues to inspire Christians around the world. Bartholomew, the courageous apostle, reminds us of the strength of faith and the importance of persevering, no matter how difficult the circumstances. His life and death are a lasting legacy of love and dedication to Christ. Let's explore the life and death of the Apostle Thomas, also known as Thomas the Twin. Known for his initial doubt about Jesus' resurrection, Thomas became a powerful example of faith and devotion after his encounter with the risen Christ. Thomas, one of the 12 apostles, is often remembered as Doubting Thomas. After Jesus' resurrection, he initially doubted the testimony of the other apostles until he had a personal encounter with Jesus, where he touched his wounds and declared, "My Lord and my God." This moment marked a profound transformation in Thomas, strengthening his faith and commitment. After Jesus' ascension, Thomas dedicated his life to preaching the gospel. According to tradition, he traveled extensively, bringing Christ's message to distant places, including Persia and India. His powerful preaching and ability to perform miracles attracted many to Christianity. It was in India that Thomas met his final destiny. He arrived on the coast of Kerala in southern India and began preaching the gospel, establishing several Christian communities. Christian tradition in India still honors Thomas as the founder of Christianity in the country. According to tradition, Thomas faced intense opposition from local religious leaders. They saw his growing success and the conversion of many to Christianity as a threat to their power. Eventually, this opposition led to Thomas's arrest and martyrdom. Thomas was condemned to death and, according to tradition, was speared by soldiers. His death was violent, but he remained faithful to the end, accepting his fate with courage and faith. Thomas's death was not in vain. His example of unwavering faith, even in the face of doubt and persecution, continues to inspire Christians around the world. In India especially, his legacy is deeply felt, with many churches and Christian communities dedicated in his memory. Thomas, the apostle who doubted, reminds us that true faith can arise from doubt and that commitment to truth can lead to supreme sacrifice. His life and death are a powerful testimony to the strength of Christian faith. Now let's explore the life and death of the Apostle Matthew, also known as Levi. Matthew is remembered as the author of the first gospel in the New Testament and for his transformation from tax collector to dedicated follower of Jesus. Before meeting Jesus, Matthew worked as a tax collector, a profession despised by the Jews of that time. However, when called by Jesus, he immediately left everything to follow the Master. This transformative encounter is a powerful testimony to the impact Jesus can have on people's lives. Matthew is credited as the author of the gospel that bears his name, one of the 4 canonical gospels. This gospel is known for its focus on Jesus' lineage, its parables, and its emphasis on the fulfillment of Old Testament prophecies. After Jesus' resurrection, Matthew dedicated his life to spreading the gospel. He traveled extensively, preaching Christ's message in regions such as Persia, Ethiopia, and Macedonia. His powerful preaching and ability to perform miracles attracted many to Christianity. It was during his missionary journeys in Ethiopia that Matthew met his final destiny. His successful preaching deeply troubled the local religious leaders. According to tradition, Matthew was arrested by order of King Hyrcanus. He was condemned to death by crucifixion. Matthew faced his death with courage and unwavering faith, a true testimony to his devotion to Christ. Matthew's death was not in vain. His example of faith and sacrifice continues to inspire Christians around the world. He is venerated as a saint and martyr, with many churches and sacred sites dedicated in his honor. Matthew, the tax collector turned apostle, reminds us that true faith can transform lives. His dedication and sacrifice are powerful testimonies to the enduring impact of Jesus' message. The life and death of the Apostle James, son of Alphaeus, also known as James the Less. Although he is not mentioned as frequently as other apostles in the Gospels, James played a crucial role in the spread of early Christianity. James, son of Alphaeus, was one of the 12 apostles chosen by Jesus. He is often confused with James the Greater, but James the Less had his own role and significant contribution to the propagation of the gospel. After Jesus' resurrection, James dedicated his life to the mission of spreading Christ's message. He preached in various regions, including Palestine and Egypt, where he established Christian communities and converted many to the faith. James was known for his fervent preaching and his ability to perform miracles. His devotion and courage inspired many to follow the Christian path, but also attracted the attention and hostility of the religious and political authorities of the time. According to tradition, James faced intense persecution for his faith. It was in Egypt that he met his final destiny. His successful preaching deeply troubled the local religious leaders, who saw the growth of Christianity as a threat to their power. James was arrested and condemned to death. According to tradition, he was martyred by stoning. James faced his death with courage and unwavering faith, becoming a powerful testimony to his devotion to Christ. The death of James, son of Alphaeus, was not in vain. His example of faith and sacrifice continues to inspire Christians around the world. He is venerated as a saint and martyr, with many churches and sacred sites dedicated in his honor. James, the courageous apostle, reminds us that true faith can withstand the most difficult trials. His life and death are a powerful testimony to the strength of the gospel and the enduring impact of Jesus' message. Now, let's explore the life and death of the Apostle Thaddeus, also known as Jude Thaddeus or Judas, son of James. Although often confused with Judas Iscariot, Thaddeus was a faithful follower of Jesus and played a significant role in the spread of early Christianity. Thaddeus, one of the 12 apostles chosen by Jesus, is remembered for his devotion and unwavering faith. He appears in several passages of the New Testament, including the Last Supper, where he asked Jesus why he would reveal himself only to the disciples and not to the world. After Jesus' resurrection, Thaddeus dedicated his life to spreading the gospel. According to tradition, he traveled to various regions, including Mesopotamia, Syria, and Persia, where he preached Christ's message and performed many miracles. It was during his missionary journeys in Persia that Thaddeus met his final destiny. His successful preaching deeply troubled the local religious leaders, who saw the growth of Christianity as a threat to their power. According to tradition, Thaddeus and another apostle, Simon the Zealot, were martyred together in Persia. They were captured and suffered a brutal death. Thaddeus was killed with an axe, while Simon was sawn in half. Both faced their deaths with courage and unwavering faith. Thaddeus' death is a powerful testimony to his devotion to Christ. His courage and sacrifice are remembered and venerated by Christians around the world. Many churches and sacred sites are dedicated in his honor. Thaddeus, the courageous apostle, reminds us that true faith can withstand the most difficult trials. His life and death are a lasting legacy of love and dedication to Christ. Next, let's explore the life and death of the Apostle Simon the Zealot. Simon, one of the 12 disciples chosen by Jesus, is known for his fervent zeal and unwavering dedication to the cause of Christ. Simon, known as the Zealot, was part of a fervent group that sought the liberation of Israel from Roman rule. His passion and dedication found a new purpose when he was called by Jesus to become one of his apostles. After Jesus' resurrection, Simon dedicated his life to preaching the gospel. He traveled extensively, bringing Christ's message to distant places such as Mesopotamia, Persia, and Syria. His powerful preaching and ability to perform miracles attracted many to Christianity. It was during his missionary journeys in Persia that Simon met his final destiny. His successful preaching deeply troubled the local religious leaders, who saw the growth of Christianity as a threat. As previously mentioned, according to tradition, Simon and Thaddeus were martyred together in Persia. They were captured and suffered a brutal death. Simon was sawn in half while Thaddeus was killed with an axe. Both faced their deaths with courage and unwavering faith. Simon the Zealot's death is a powerful testimony to his devotion to Christ. His courage and sacrifice are remembered and venerated by Christians around the world. Many churches and sacred sites are dedicated in his honor. Simon, the zealous apostle, reminds us that true faith can withstand the most difficult trials. His life and death are a lasting legacy of love and dedication to Christ. And lastly, let's explore the life and death of Judas Iscariot, one of Jesus' 12 apostles, best known for his role in betraying Christ. Judas' story is one of the most tragic and complex in the New Testament, marked by remorse and despair. Judas Iscariot was chosen by Jesus to be one of his 12 apostles. As the group's treasurer, he was responsible for the money and administration. However, Judas is most remembered for his betrayal when he handed Jesus over to the religious leaders in exchange for 30 pieces of silver. According to the Gospels, Judas went to the chief priests and agreed to betray Jesus in exchange for 30 pieces of silver. On the night of the Last Supper, Jesus revealed that one of his disciples would betray him. Later, in the Garden of Gethsemane, Judas identified Jesus to the guards with a kiss, thus sealing his betrayal. Judas' betrayal led to Jesus' arrest, trial, and crucifixion. However, shortly after the betrayal, Judas felt deep remorse for what he had done. According to the Gospel of Matthew, he tried to return the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests, saying, "I have sinned by betraying innocent blood." When the religious leaders refused his plea, Judas, consumed by guilt and despair, threw the silver coins into the temple and left. According to Matthew 27 verse 5, Judas hanged himself, ending his life in an act of despair and repentance. Judas Iscariot's death is one of the most tragic and complex narratives in the New Testament. His story raises profound questions about betrayal, remorse, and forgiveness. While Judas is often remembered as the traitor, his life and death also serve as a powerful reminder of the consequences of sin and the importance of repentance. Judas Iscariot, the apostle who betrayed Jesus, reminds us that we are all susceptible to error and that true repentance is essential for redemption. His story is a solemn warning, but also a call to reflect on our own actions and seek forgiveness. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of Jesus' 12 apostles. Each of them, with their own story of faith, courage, and sacrifice, contributed to the spread of the gospel and the foundation of Christianity as we know it today. These extraordinary men left a legacy that continues to inspire millions of people around the world. Their lives and deaths are powerful testimonies to the transformative impact of Jesus' message and the strength of faith in times of adversity. May their stories remind us of the importance of persevering in faith, preaching the gospel with courage, and living a life dedicated to the service of Christ and love for others. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories from Christian history. Leave your comments and suggestions below, and tell us which story touched you the most. See you next time.